So much of the ancient world is hidden underground. Today I'm going to be exploring the depths of a mysterious tomb uncovered in Egypt, hellish caves in Ireland, and much more. The Family Man's Tomb. A shocking new tomb has just been uncovered buried under the Egyptian sand. After 4,400 years, the tomb was unsealed and the secrets of its ancient owner were at last revealed. This tomb is seriously old, belonging to someone of great importance during Egypt's 5th dynasty. According to Egyptian antiquities minister Khaled al-Anani, the tomb was in a miraculous state of preservation. Within were gigantic statues, colorful pictographs on the walls, and beautiful examples of hieroglyphic writing. The tomb was in such great condition that archaeologists were able to learn much about who was buried within it in 2400 BC. The owner of the tomb was a priest by the name of Watye, but he wasn't a priest in the way most people think of priests today. He had a wife and a family. Ancient Egyptian priests didn't have to take vows of celibacy. His tomb was found covered in beautifully decorated scenes of him hanging out with his loved ones. Archaeologists were able to uncover the name of his mother, which was Meret Min, even his wife, Weret Ta. The names of his loved ones were written on the walls because the Egyptians believed writing someone's name down allowed them to live forever. The tomb is only one of hundreds upon hundreds buried underneath Saqqara, south of Cairo. It was found near the first pyramid ever built in Egypt, the Pyramid of Djoser. It's unclear exactly what Watye's duties were, but it seemed he worked directly under mysterious pharaoh Neferkara, the Dos Ojos. Deep in the jungle of Mexico, not far from the popular tourist destination of Tulum, is a flooded underground world of horror. The Dos Ojos underwater cave system has been continuously explored since 1987. Scientists are still struggling to reach its deepest depths and uncover all its mysteries. Scientists don't know exactly how vast the watery cave system is, but it extends in various directions for at least 51 miles. You can enter the system through 28 known sinkholes called cenotes in Mexico. Just try to imagine a vast termite nest or even a subway system under a modern city. This is what's hiding under Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. Only the nest is flooded and the only way inside is through a deep cenote in a world of blackness and death. There have been a lot of weird things found since the 1980s within the larger underground system. One of the most shocking finds was at the Pet Cemetery cenote. Divers reached the bottom to discover animal bones littering the soft surface. They discovered fossilized remains from an extinct prehistoric camel. There was a jawbone from a tapir. Divers even found some blind cave fish swimming around, which was an added bonus because the fish were really cool. It has taken some time, but the experts think they now understand why so many weird animal bones were at the bottom of the sinkhole. It was probably used as a disposal pit before Dos Ojos was flooded. The ancient Maya likely threw dead animals into the pit, creating a massive pet cemetery. And now for number 6. But first, it's shout-out time. I wanted to give a big thank you to Jeff Everland 3245 and Sue Erickson 9988 for supporting this channel. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already for more videos like these. The Chinese Super Cave. The largest underground chamber in the world is in China. It's called the Miao Room, though some just call it the Super Cave. The underground chamber is so big, you could fit 4 giant pyramids of Giza inside it. There is enough room within the gigantic cave to have 22 football matches at the same time. By volume, the Miao Room is 380.7 million cubic feet. It is located deep inside China's Yun-Getu-He National Park, and it was only fairly recently discovered in 2001. Explorations have been going on for the last decade. In 2013, a group of British explorers were funded by the National Geographic Society to fully map the geography of the huge cavern. They went on an expedition through the Miao Room, exploring boulders the size of houses and dark pockets untouched by sunlight. Scientists used lasers to measure the vastness of the cave. They soon learned it formed about 100 million years ago. It is one of the coolest natural places in the world, but sadly doesn't hold many exhilarating mysteries. There don't appear to be any relics from ancient societies or any bones from unknown human ancestors. Yet, the Nahal Mishmar Horde. Nearly everybody has heard of the Dead Sea Scrolls, discovered in the dusty and dried caves around Israel's Dead Sea, but there was something else amazing discovered here in the 1960s that very few people talk about. It's called the Nahal Mishmar Horde, a collection of remarkable artifacts extracted from a cave in the Judean desert. In 1961, the hoard was uncovered beneath rocky debris within a dark cavern. The collection had been left there on purpose, as was obvious by the fact it was wrapped in a decaying straw mat. A total of 442 objects had been stashed in the cave. There was a mixture of copper artifacts, stone objects, and beautiful pieces of artwork crafted from hippo and elephant ivory. When scientists carbon dated the treasures, they found them to be 5,500 years old. What in the world was going on here during 3500 BC? It's been over 60 years and scientists are still struggling to understand the hoard's mystery. The objects looked as if they were buried in a hurry. They were jammed into the cave and quickly covered by debris to disguise them. Archaeologist David Usishkin thinks the treasure was left behind by a cult. The objects were likely taken from yet another mysterious place in the Dead Sea. The Calic Temple of Ein Gedi is a ruined building dating to the same time as the Nahal Mishmar hoard. The temple was found just 7 miles away from where the treasure was buried. Something must have happened that spooked the cultists, causing them to empty their temple and hide their most treasured possessions. But then nobody ever went back for them. Nobody ever went back to the temple either, as it too was forsaken to the sands. One of the coolest treasures found in the hoard is a goat wand. It's unclear the relic's purpose, but it definitely had some magical properties. The wand is big, heavy, and decorated in goat horns. It looks like something a modern Satanist would use while trying to summon a demon. The subterranean church. Sometime during the 8th century AD, a church was carved into the side of a limestone cliff in France's Dronne Valley. 400 years later, a group of Benedictine monks expanded the subterranean church, making it into a grand structure. The Church of St. Jean has remained relatively intact ever since. It's one of the most impressive surviving cave churches in Europe. Although historians feel like the first pieces of the church were carved in the 8th century, that might not be true. Some have suggested it dates as early as the 4th century, meaning the first chisel marks were made when the Romans still ruled France. There is no clue as to what its original purpose was, or if it was even meant to be a church in the first place. It wasn't until the 12th century that the underground sanctuary was enlarged to its present form, which is really spectacular. St. Jean was likely used for housing religious artifacts in the Middle Ages. Pilgrims on their way to Santiago de Compostela in northern Spain would have stopped here to venerate whatever Christian artifacts were kept safely underground. St. Jean is not just an underground church. It's really hard to grasp the depths of this place only by looking at pictures. The main ceiling is around 60 feet tall. There are huge octagonal pillars keeping the ceiling from falling on people's heads. There's also an acropolis underneath, a spooky crypt with hundreds of stone tombs and empty sarcophagi. Sadly, the outbreak of the French Revolution caused the church to fall into decline. St. Jean went from being a religious center to a saltpeter workshop. Saltpeter, of course, being our main ingredient in gunpowder. The Lost Library. There is an ancient library hidden underneath the Great Sphinx of Giza. The library contains information about the extraterrestrials who descended from the heavens at the beginning of human civilization. Every question you've ever wanted answered about the origins of life and the secrets of the universe are contained inside this library. At least that is what some researchers believe. There isn't any proof of an underground library beneath the Sphinx's stone paws, but many believe it does exist. It's known in archaeological circles as the Hall of Treasures of Knowledge. Some researchers speculate the hidden chamber even has documents dating back to the lost city of Atlantis. Who exactly is supporting this theory, though? One of the original believers was a man named Edgar Cayce, a clairvoyant who claimed he could see the future a century ago. He believed the people of Atlantis were involved in the construction of the Sphinx and that their secrets are still buried beneath it. Mark Christopher Lee, an amateur researcher, also believes in the theory. Mark has gone as far as saying the Egyptians themselves came from the stars, from somewhere within the Orion constellation. Mark says that's why the Great Pyramid of Giza is aligned so perfectly with Orion. The ancient library was buried extremely deep beneath the Sphinx to safeguard the history of their interstellar travels. But is any of this true? Let me know what you think in the comments. The Irish Hell Caves. In the middle of a field in Ireland is a rough mound of grass that, on any given day, is covered in grazing sheep. The sheep are cute, but the mound of earth is terrifying. Centuries ago, on that very mound of earth, the sheep would have been sacrificed as part of the first Halloween celebrations. The poor sheep would have been held in the air by chanting people dressed as demonic entities. What I'm telling you about is the birth of Halloween. Why am I telling you about Halloween in a video dedicated to things discovered underground? Because not far from the grassy mound is Rathkeag Cave, somewhere the Irish believed led to hell. The creepy cave and the mound of grass are at the heart of an archaeological landscape called Rathkeag. It doesn't look like much now, mostly covered by farmland, but it had once been a place of major activity. Rathkeag was the hub of the Irish kingdom of Connaught during the Iron Age. Archaeologists have identified over 240 sites across the grassy meadows, the oldest of which dates back 5,500 years. But let's focus on the cave and its portal to hell. 2,000 years ago, the communities of ancient Ireland worshipped nature. They came up with a festival called Samhain, which was to celebrate the harvest at the end of October. Irish immigrants in the 1800s brought Samhain to the United States of America, where it became the sugary holiday of Halloween. I should mention the Irish version of hell was a lot different from the one you might be picturing right now in your head. They believed demons, monsters, and beasts dwelled within a subterranean dimension called Tir na Nog. On October 31st, the ghostly freaks of the underworld escaped through Rathkeag Cave. It was the only day in the year that the wall between the world of the living and the world of evil beasts was thin enough for them to flee and escape. But don't worry, the ancient Irish knew how to control the demonic creatures. The Irish held a celebration upon the grassy hill. You know, the one with the sheep. The celebration involved lighting great fires and people dressing as ghouls to disguise themselves. The fires were supposed to force the escaped monsters back into the cave and down to their hellish realm. Nobody knew the full extent of Rathkeag or Rathkeag Cave until the 1990s. That was when the team of Irish researchers used remote sensing technology to look underneath the fields of grazing sheep. They uncovered the buried ruins of hundreds of archaeological secrets. Even still, the region is largely unexplored. Even Rathkeag Cave is almost impossible to find. There are no indications that the cave is there, no signs or tourist markers. The cave is hidden underneath some trees at the end of the farm track. You can't even get to it without hopping fences and walking through farmers' fields. But if you do reach this place, you'll be crawling into the dark birthplace of Halloween, the Coin Horde. Archaeologists in Japan have uncovered what has got to be one of the coolest coin stashes in the world. 60 miles from Tokyo, in preparation for the construction of a new factory, over 100,000 coins have just been found. The oldest coins are from over 2,000 years ago. Just take a look at these coins. They were found buried in the city of Maebashi in 1060 bundles. The bundles almost look like rolls of modern coins, like when you're cashing in your thousands of pennies at the bank. Only these ones are seriously old. The oldest of them all dates to 175 BC and was minted in China. The most recent coin in the hoard is from 1265 AD. Somebody had a coin collection spanning over 1,000 years. Why did they bury it, and how did they even come across all these coins? Now I have to give you a bit of a history lesson. Japan did not start producing their own metallic currency until the 7th century. Before that, their coins came from China. The reason ancient Chinese coins had holes in the middle was so people could string them together. They would string 100 coins into a bundle, making it easier to trade. Japan made their own coins only for about 400 years, then stopped in the 10th century when they ran out of copper ore. Yet again, they went back to using Chinese coins. But why bury 100,000 coins? And how would a person come across coins so old? Somebody in the year 1265 having a coin collection of this magnitude is like somebody today having coins from the Roman Republic jingling in their pocket. One theory is that the hoard functioned as a bank, but that doesn't explain why it was buried. It may have been a hoard of loot buried by warriors who thought they would come back for it later. Professor of Japanese history William Farris thinks it was more religious in nature. The coins likely had symbolic meaning and were being kept safe by some unknown religious order. They may have even been buried as offerings to the gods in a time of war and strife. Which of these subterranean discoveries did you find the most interesting? Let me know in the comments, and remember to subscribe before you go. Thanks so much for watching, and check out more awesome videos from the channel.